Project LiveWire. Alright, so far it feels real slim, feels comfortable. 463 pounds, very light bike. It shows the power mode. So the 111 means that the throttle's disactivated at this point. Range, it looks like I have a 30-mile range, as is. This is a handmade version. It's not a production-ready motorcycle by any means. So I'm not concerned about the 30-mile range at this point. I'm expecting them to get it up closer to 100, 125 or higher to competitive standards. All right. All right, so the throttle's now active. So if I roll on the throttle, it'll just literally take off. And so when you let go on the throttle, it kind of does this engine compression, which is real sharp. No clutch is bizarre. That's crazy. 6% power. It's got the auto canceling. I like this little display. Very easy to see. Oh, it's got some power. That is nice. Haha, I like that. I like that a lot. All right, so I'm riding the Project LiveWire 2000X, let's say, model. This is the production model, or not a production model. This is handmade at the Harley manufacturer, and wow, it is a zippy bike for sure. Zippy as hell. I like it. The sound of the bike, let's kind of tackle just things as they come along. I'm used to having a shifter and clutch, and I've got none of that, which is very interesting. The bike looks hella hot, man. I like this rear setup. The rear of it looks good. Very thin. I can imagine them kind of bulking this part out and adding more battery life to it. There's plenty of room here. In fact, it'd almost be nicer to have a little bit more width here. I'd get a little bit more of a leg action. My knees being able to lock into the tank. Really nice though, not having to worry about a clutch and having all of that power available. It really just kind of feels like it ultimately frees up my mind. I don't have to think about shifting. And I mean, not that that really requires a lot of thinking, but that little 5 or 6, 7% of automatic thought that goes towards shifting and what gear am I in. I don't have to worry about any of that. These models don't have ABS or anything at this point, just standard brakes, no traction control. As far as flickability, feels pretty good. Very sporty. Letting off that throttle, we really get that compression feeling in it, and I guess what it does is it recharges the bike. Oh, this bike just zips when you want to catch back up. It just does it. Does what I tell it to do, which is really nice. Very, very responsive. Oh, man. Sounds cool. The sound is very neat. I'm not really hearing the engine, I guess, like the jet sound. Oh, kind of. Oh, I feel like I'm on a speeder bike, right? Like a Star Wars speeder bike. Hot damn. I like it. It's a little uncomfortable as far as stance goes. It's more of a sport style stance, but for a sports stance, I'm not going to say super sport stance, but for a sporty stance, it feels pretty good. I like this. It's killer. It has a cool look to it. I like the rear tire setup. I like how it kind of hugs around on the back fender for the license plate. Looks real sharp. I'd really like to see this frame taken away from the Project LiveWire and made part of Harley's lineup. Maybe like a part of the Sportster series or a race series or something. The flip down mirrors, honestly, I kind of feel like that's relatively not necessary. Oh yeah, it's very responsive though. I mean, the moment I flick on that throttle, it just goes. The sound is very cool, very unique sound. This is the first electric bike I've ever ridden, and overall, I'm really impressed. I would not mind owning one of these. If I could have the range, I mean, that's the biggest issue for me is the range. And I mean, it's just right now, this is just a marketing tool, right? This is just a feedback marketing tool. Get the word out there and get feedback from the customer base. They said that there's only 35 of these manufactured. And so it is a real privilege to be able to get on one of these and test ride it. And I've been wanting to do so for a while now. This whole idea, this whole thing, it has me intrigued. Wow. I love it. Hello, Shadow. As far as sound goes, though, I feel like I have sound. I just don't feel like I have sound that's going to be very noticeable, you know, while lane splitting here in California. But ultimately, I feel like you hear it. I mean, I hear it in my full face helmet, so it is there. The sound is definitely there, and sounds great. Oh, it just sounds like kind of like a jet engine, a little bit quieter, like a jet engine / RC car type of sound. The seats are very stiff, but overall, the stance, the aggressive riding stance on this is very nice. I like it. It's just nice to have that instant torque all across the range. It's a little different. Letting go of the throttle, it'd be nice to have some type of cruise control mechanism on this, so that way you could hold the throttle and lock, because the moment you let go is the moment that the bike just kind of goes into like what feels like a compression mode as it recharges the lithium ion battery. Very nice though. So I chose the power option, which only gave me like 30 miles total range. So I think 50 something was the max range if I had chosen more of the less sporty mode and had gone for the range aspect. So I mean, honestly, if that's the ratio, then you know that would take me from maybe, let's say, 100 miles max range down only to 60 miles, which for a commuter bike that would work for me. Oh, that is just hella fun to have all that throttle just, it calls to you. Definitely has like a hooligan's bike type of vibe to it. It still kind of has that bobber type look. If you look at the bike in front of me, it almost has like a bobber-ish look. Very low profile look to it. But it still has that sporty angled rear fender that comes off of that rear seat, that rear pillion. I like it. My wrist definitely feels like it's getting an exercise. And a lot of that is just, I guess, feeling like I need to stay on the throttle. Oh crap, that was so fun. Oh, that whistle as it just decompresses. I hope you guys can hear it. I'm using the GP10 for my audio input, and so I feel like that's definitely going to hold me back a little bit, or hold you guys back from being able to hear the bike whistle. Oh, but it just adds, oh, it's so cool. I like it. Very, very nimble bike though. I mean, such a lightweight bike. And it just kind of hums along, which is cool. I like it a lot, man. I'm sold. I'm convinced. I'm not really quite ready to jump to electric. But it's cool. I kind of like this instrument cluster here. The touch screen, it worked with my gloves. I don't have special gloves for like iPhone touching or anything, so obviously that's designed that way to work pretty much with any gloves or any motorcycle gloves. So that's real nice. I love the sleek styling to it. The lines through the bike look really sharp. I kind of like to see this and, you know, maybe have the Harley orange through the frame of the bike, or a little bit more color incorporated with the bike. Looks like you can adjust the rebound and compression on the shocks, which is really cool on the front shocks. The seat feels very narrow, you know, kind of squinched in. I don't have a whole lot of room to scoot back or anything. It kind of holds me in place, which is cool. Leanability, I feel very, even with more of the sport aggressive stance on it, I still feel like I'm able to kind of twist my body around, which is not something I've ever felt with like the super sport bikes. But it definitely has like almost like the Ducati Hyper Motard type of stance to it, a little bit more upright, which I really enjoy this stance for a sportier stance. This is probably one of my favorite of all the sporty stances I've ever felt or sat upon all the sporty bikes. This one has a very good stance to it. But it still is kind of a mid-mounted peg, so maybe it's probably reminiscent more to like a Ninja 650, Ninja 300 in stancing. Very similar to that. So, yeah, very cool, very cool. Just to hear all these like jet aircraft whistles. The engine sound is very unique. Definitely almost sounds like the scooter, the little electric scooter that I had at Disneyland, but just beefier. Macho. Definitely feel like I get a lot of resistance as I back off on the throttle. I can almost hear like a frictional sound. So this thing does 0 to 60 in, what, like 4 seconds? Under 4 seconds? And I believe it. I mean, I can just barely do anything with the throttle, and I'm up to 47 miles an hour. That's pretty badass. Wow, I really want to open it up. Really want to test this thing out far more than I'm able to. I'm not feeling any type of heat buildup anywhere, which is, you know, obvious because of the electric. The maneuverability, though, on this thing is pretty awesome. And this thing's, what do you say, 400 and something pounds? So it's lighter than a Ninja 300, if I'm not mistaken. Is there room on the market for a bike like this? Not necessarily this bike. Having this limited range, that's too little. Freaking badass. Yeah, I mean, 30 miles, 50 miles, they need to think a lot bigger than that. I think if it could at least go 100 miles in a day, then it would make for a solid commuter for most people, 100, 120. If they could take it up to the 400 or 500 mile range, which I don't believe is even close to reality for the next 10 or 15 years, that would be fantastic. And at that point, I would definitely consider going all electric as my primary bike. Not having the capacity to go on a long tour really limits my decision making with a bike like this. It would have to be a secondary bike, and it would have to be primarily for commuting. But hot damn, man, this thing's fun as hell. Project LiveWire, everybody. Check out more information at projectlivewire.com. And if you get a chance to test ride one of these bad boys, I definitely recommend it. Killer fun.